Okay. So when I had talked with Terry about conducting this webinar with her, she had said that we should review again PEMF and the immune system. And also, now that I am further going on with my education, I've learned so much more about how low intensity, low frequency pulse electromagnetic fields interacts with the human body, and in particular, the immune system. And I know Wolfgang had shown everyone about the amount of research that is being conducted with PEMF, and he's absolutely right. The amount of research that is being done within the university level is probably, far more than has ever been done before, due to the fact people are very interested in how to utilize signaling. Because with the current vaccines, that is basically utilizing a signal, an energetic signal through chemical messengers to interact with the body. We're utilizing magnetic field signatures in order to interact with the human body. And there has been tons of research to show how PEMF used consistently in the home can benefit the whole entire immune system, because we are utilizing non-focused, non-targeted pulse electromagnetic fields. So when we take a look at where we are helping our bodies, it is on a system-wide focus versus a specific dysfunction or a disease. So when we say that with the immune system, this is what I'm referencing. When you talk about the immune system, it's actually a complex, organized collection that begins with various cells that go into tissues, that go into organs, that then make up the whole entire immune system. And when I say non-targeted and non-focused, what that means is that on here on the left, we're not focusing just on a plasma cell, or we're not just focusing on one of the mast cells. We are focusing on the immune system, and that is how we are exposing the body to the pulsed electromagnetic fields. We're exposing the whole immune system. Because when we, for instance, use the pillow pad or whole body mat applicator, we're not only working with the bone marrow, we're not only working with the lymph nodes, we're not only working with the tonsils, we're working with the whole entire immune system, which is a collection of all of these things, from the cellular to the tissue level, to the organs, to the whole entire body, which is actually a nonlinear communication system. So if any of you out there's careers in information systems or cellular communications, that is exactly what the body is. Because for these plasma cells to talk to and communicate, be in coordination with, say, bone marrow, it all has to be orchestrated. And this is all done through electromagnetic signaling and chemical signaling. And just as we're all familiar now with different ways we can chemically signal the body, the use of pulse electromagnetic fields helps signal the immune system in all of these different areas. And this is also one of the reasons why it is very difficult to get it approved or reimbursed for a particular disease or illness, because they'll want to know, well, what were you targeting? Well, we were targeting the immune system, and that is not where the route is in order to get these. They want to know it was a disease or an illness, like we used as a reference in a plasma cell. But since we're targeting everything, when we have beneficial results, you are not able to say we targeted one specific cell, because we benefited the immune system as a whole. And the beauty of this is how it is done in nature. When we are out in nature, when we are walking in the woods, when we are walking on the beach, our immune system is coordinating with the electromagnetic energies, the far infrared energies, the sound waves that are in our environment. And through the process of resonance, We are communicating through our magnetic fields of ourselves with those in nature, such as the iosphere and the Schumann resonance, and all of the magnetic energies coming from the ground. That is how our immune system is interacting and communicating with our environment. And the beauty of the whole body mat applicators and the local applicators that are utilized with Swiss Bionic Solutions is that they harness these same frequencies and intensities in order to communicate as nature intended with our immune system in order to help regulate and optimize the functioning of the totality of the system. Because there are various areas that we do know is that it is plays a very important role in the signaling of homeostasis. So in order to activate the immune system, the magnetic field interacts with it and it throws it throws it a little bit off balance, you could say, and then it will have to bring itself back into regulatory balance. And this is good because it is almost like exercises, just the way you have to lift weights and mix up your weights, mix up your repetitions in order that you can stimulate the development of a muscle. We can utilize the magnetic field. And another beautiful aspect of the IMRS systems, whether it's the IMRS 1 or the IMRS prime systems, is it creates a variable application just as you would need it when you're lifting weights. If you continue to use the same weight and the same repetition, your body will plateau. You will develop a fatigue in a sense because you need repetition. You need to change it up. And that is the same principle of exercise that is being put into the development of the PEMF signaling in order to communicate with the immune system. It's like exercise. It keeps it active. It keeps it engaged to your environment. It prevents stagnation and sedentary slowdown, basically. It also, as we know from future education, works with cell membrane potentials. By stimulating the ions in the environment, it creates more electrical activity. And the cell membranes benefit from more electrical activity, such as sodium and potassium creating ATP. Functioning that sodium potassium pump creates electrical activity, and that electrical activity is what improves cell membrane potentials. So we're not only targeting the body all the way down to the cellular level by helping the body improve cell membrane potentials, and it's the same mechanism why we're functioning, why we're benefiting our immune system. We're also strengthening our bones, because the same benefit that is helping the immune system is also helping the musculoskeletal system, as well as the nervous system, because we are applying a non-focused, non-targeted application of pulse electromagnetic fields that is designed to provide the same stimulatory ranges found in nature from electromagnetic fields and far infrared, as well as sound and light. Now, this is where the research shows that this is something that we can replicate and take a look at. So when they had utilized this, the use of pulse electromagnetic fields to modulate inflammation and improve tissue regeneration. And the reason why I specifically looked for this in order to provide a reference protocol that is based on research is we have discussed before how Xavier University in Cincinnati teamed up with the faculty in Thailand as well as in France, and they did therapeutic application of light and electromagnetic fields to reduce hyperinflammation triggered by COVID-19. So Triggering inflammation is huge, and anyone who is involved in any type of healthcare, whether it's from natural health or to allopathic health, knows that inflammation is a sign of a precursor happening. And if you don't take immediate action to mitigate that inflammation, it can develop into a chronic long-term disease or illness. A lot of it begins with chronic inflammation. So looking at the immune system and inflammation, it provides a great benefit for overall immune health, as well as how we can utilize it in keeping our bodies in the fight in this current pandemic state we find ourselves in. So this research was taking a look at, we do know that when somebody is inflicted with COVID, there is an inflammatory response. It affects the lungs. That's why it's hard to breathe. And if you can mitigate that and reduce that, you can then help the body and hopefully prevent people from having to go to the hospital and go on respirators by treating that inflammation. So if we take a look at this research, and I wanted to try to find magnetic field parameters that can be referenced to what everyone has at home. And this specific research had taken a look at 0.04 millitesla. And then I did a conversion to microtesla, because that is what the Swiss Bionic Solutions products are measured in, microtesla. And we're at 40 microtesla, which is well in the range of the parameters either the IMRS-1 or the IMRS prime utilizes, whatever applicator you utilize. So this was taking a look at how this can be used to modulate inflammation in injured tissues, resulting in enhanced functional recovery. Exactly the focus that we're all looking at now. And to better understand the potential for PEMF therapy to modulate inflammatory signals, pathways, and improve tissue regeneration, particularly the scarring that happens within the lung tissue. Anybody was an ex-smoker and now they're trying to redo their lungs or regenerate their lungs. Wheatgrass and PEMF is a great way to do that. Anything with a chlorophyll, anything that was able to help is what is able to help regenerate lung tissue. So what they had utilized in this was these magnetic field parameters and how it functioned on immune function and inflammation. And what they had found within these results was that the favorable ranges happened around 40 microtesla. And very interesting, we can take a look at the Earth's magnetic field, and it fluctuates depending on the season, depending on how we are positioned within the universe. But 40 microtesla is well within the range of what we experience within nature. And so what they had did is utilize these in order to help mitigate and induce modulation of inflammation by helping the body regulate via homeostasis, just like what we had discussed, where by providing that signaling, just like when we're developing muscle, we have to continually provide a variable stimulus. In this case, it's a physical stimulus, where with magnetic fields is a non-conductive, meaning it doesn't, a non-contact, meaning it doesn't contact the body. It's a magnetic wave that passes through it, but it provides the same benefits in order to train our signaling. And what it really helps with is the amplitude, dampened amplitudes also that happen with age and injury. Just as we learned from the asbestos study, where asbestos is able to hijack a cell by going within the cell membrane and short-circuiting the cell. And the cell then loses communication with the system, much like our cell phone when we have a weak signal. The cell is like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And it doesn't have any communication with the body, and the cancer can take over. And we know this from the asbestos studies done, that if you can help mitigate damped electromagnetic signaling, you can help the body fight whatever type of adversarial event that is going on. And in this particular research, you can help the body regenerate tissue. Now, you always keep in mind, magnetic fields need something to stimulate with inside of the body. So you have to be nutritionally balanced because it interacts with the magnesium, the calcium, the sodium, the potassium. So you need to make sure you have the proper ions, molecules within the body for it to stimulate, just as you have to be well hydrated, because in essence, you're developing your body into the best conductor possible, because you are trying to conduct the electromagnetic fields to help enhance and stimulate your own body's natural electromagnetic activity within the side of the body. And just like the fascia, which runs in your body, that's like the copper coils within inside the PMF unit. So as we age, as we play sports, as we get injured, those fascias get injured. And therefore, just as what happens if the coil in your applicator gets bent, you're going to get an error message because the electrical current can no longer travel through the coil. Well, if the coils, the fascia within inside of your body get bent, the same thing happens. And we do get an error message. Maybe you get a little bit of pain. Maybe you get a little bit of discomfort. And then the body will work its way around and find an alternative way. But it doesn't always mean it's the best way. And it doesn't mean that it will benefit you for your whole entire life. It may benefit you, and then as you're going through your retirement, they may appear again. So you really want to make sure you're healing and regenerating. And that's another reason why low fields and low intensity, low frequency pulse electromagnetic fields is the best approach, because it's really stimulating, healing, and regenerating. Whereas some research has shown high intensity is more like a steroid or cortisol shot. That they found from the equestrian studies that when they used high intensity, they're just masking the pain in the thoroughbreds. And the thoroughbreds are running injured with less pain until they can run no longer. And then we all know what happens to them there. So that's why some states are now banning high intensity used by the veterinarians, because it was the same as the cortisol shots. All it did was mask the pain. It did not heal, and it did not stimulate healing and regeneration like low intensity, low frequency magnetic fields do, due to the fact that they are designed to replicate the same experience that we would find in nature. So if we have any questions, let me see if I can't exit out of here. No, you can read them out if you want to read them. I don't see the chat. So if you just want to read them.
Okay, so from Linda, she said, how do you manage the ions?
Nutrition. The ions are basically when we have proper nutrition in the body, like a banana is how you would get potassium. Celery is a good way to get sodium. So also you could use supplements because it's also very difficult in this day and age to find nutritionally ripe food due to a lot of processing and packaging and shipping. But, you try to eat the best you can, and then you can utilize different supplements that your body may need. But that's how you manage the ions, is making sure you have proper nutrition within inside of the body.
Thank you. She said more specific, how is it regulated?
For instance, when you utilize a magnetic field, the magnetic field will travel through your body. And when you are well hydrated, the magnetic field travels more optimally. And what it does is it moves around the extracellular fluids within inside of the body, because water is also a great conductor of electricity. So it helps move around the sodium and potassium. And when these ions interact with each other, that will create an electrical spark. And anytime these electrical sparks happen, a magnetic field automatically from Faraday's law is produced. So just like if you went for a long jog where you have the movement, laying on your mat almost replicates that. It doesn't perfectly replicate it because you're not getting the cardiovascular activity that you would, but it is creating that same type of movement within the body. And when you create more electrical activity, therefore, that is how cell membranes are more optimized. So the way it works altogether is the magnetic field helps move the ions around in the body. And when these ions bump into each other, electrical activity is created, and that all helps these cell membranes.
She did ask one more question, and then I'm going to go to another one. She did say, does it balance automatically?
That is all the body. The great thing about pulse electromagnetic fields, the low frequency, low intensity, is it does not tell your body what to do. It does not push your body beyond its natural capabilities. So what it is doing is it is moving your body around, and then it is up to your body in order to then go back into a homeostatic state. So as long as all of that is an optimal environment, that by creating that, and there's not another factor that is inhibiting or mitigating that from happening, yes, it will all happen automatically. And you can actually see a lot of this is they're doing a lot of studies at university-wide medical centers into hypertension in PMF. And they're finding that the most profound results are happening in the people with the worst hypertension. Because if we're working on re-establishing balance, if your body is already almost balanced, you're gonna have a less subtle change getting back to balance. But if your body is like this, and now is starting to get back to balance, you're gonna feel that. So people who have a more severe case of hypertension have been getting better results due to the fact it is more easily to manage when you're looking at low intensity, low frequency back to balance. But if you're already a healthy person, don't think that it's not doing anything, because what I always say is it's helping with prevention. Anything that may have been starting to develop, or maybe if there was starting to become a decreased or inadequate blood flow somewhere in some tissue, and the PMF helped mitigate that, you're always helping with prevention. You're also helping your body respond better. The more you use it, it is providing a better autonomic nervous system. The way it's interacting also is by helping balance your autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic activity. So by helping to balance that, that is what then regulates the body back into homeostasis. So as long as there's no other contributing factor that is preventing the body from helping to go back into a homeostatic state, then that will happen naturally, just from the stimulation.
So she did ask one more question, and then I'm going to go to others. Okay. So Linda, you're asking amazing questions. So thank you. So she did ask, so if I'm dehydrated, how will this device notify me or let me know?
Well, the device doesn't notify you if you are dehydrated. That is something that you would have to monitor yourself. It is just a best practice that why does one person get better results than somebody else? One of the areas they found is if you're well hydrated, proper nutrition, the stimulus from the field is going to interact with your body better. So that is where that information is coming from. But you should always make sure you're drinking, plenty of water and staying hydrated on a normal basis, because your body is 70% water. So you want to make sure you're putting clean, healthy water within inside of your body.
She states
Some people believe that the water cells hold memory, and that because the water is 70% of your body and it is creating the vibrational balance, that you have to change the water in order to change the vibrational structure within inside of the body, due to the fact 70% of your body is water. And your blood, is a high component of that as well.
Okay, she states that she's trying to find out how it monitors. She says, I'm more interested in what the device does rather than what I need to do.
I mean, that you would have to talk with the person who you purchased it from, but I mean, the device does PEMF, and these are the benefits from the PEMF. You would want to just utilize the device, because there's no secret to using PEMF. You just have to use it. And that is just like, there's no secret to health. You just need to walk and eat right.
That's right.
On a totality, in a sense. But, modern life and all the different chemicals and other issues we have in our modern life and hinder all of that. But as far as, the device that, you could do a device training. This is, the immune system and PEMF.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Thank you so much.
We
Great.
have a question from Linda. I'm sorry, from Madeline. So are the PEMF mats all low frequency?
From Swiss Bionic Solutions, they are, yes.
Okay.
Very good.
And William asked the question, how do you eat to stay so lean?
How do I eat to stay so lean?
Yes.
Calorie restriction. So skipping a lot of meals. Also, what I found is it all starts within the first 15 minutes after you wake up, sets the tone for the rest of your day. And so for me, I get up and I have to immediately walk, because if I don't get up and immediately get out of the house, I get on the computer, I get distracted, then I get annoyed, and then the whole day is ruined. So for me, I need to immediately get out of the house and I need to go for a walk in the early morning when the sun is up, so I can reset myself and, focus on what my day is going to bring. And exercise. I mean, I walk 4 miles 2 to 3 times a day. Like, honestly, walking is what changed my life, is really walking. I do a lot of Pilates and I have light weights. So in between my classes, I just sit there with dumbbells, 20 minutes. I don't have any routine or anything. I just pick them up. And if I feel like, I need to do my shoulders, and I do my shoulders and I put them back down. And then I might go do some assignment and come back. But what I realized is that, what we have to really do is wake up in the morning and make our day all about health, because there are so many things, from our environment to the poisons, to our food, to a pandemic, that if we do not make time for our health, it will never happen.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Gary, can we just ask one more question, because
Yes.
this person's been waiting a long time, and then we'll close up on the Q&A. So somebody wrote down, Dad has melanoma in the lungs. What is the best setting? And this will be our final question, everybody. And thank you.
I would use low intensity, and I would do short sessions throughout the day. And then, because you want to not do too much too soon. Also, I have no idea what other type of treatment, therapies, pharmaceuticals, anything else they are on. So without having talked to a medical doctor, you want to make sure you don't create too much movement in the body, that you alter or dump anything else that was in the body into the bloodstream, kidneys, liver, and then you could create like a detoxing or a healing reaction. So I would always talk to a medical doctor first with any type of a severe disease diagnosis and just say, as a preventative measure, I'm interested in using pulse electromagnetic fields. And what it will do is it will temporarily increase circulation inside of the body. And and this temporary increase in circulation is going to help reestablish blood flow and whatnot to these areas within the lungs. This is what I'm doing. Anything I need to be aware of, doctor. And that's exactly what I would say to the doctor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very, very good. So great. Thank you so much for the training. Now,
Yes.
you always taught us is consistency and hydration.
Yes.
Let's go to hydration. We have an hydration expert this morning. Let's go to, in California, in my area, Dr. Lorenzen. And it's a PhD. It's in biochemistry research. And I got to know Lee from Mike Garrett, who is a local health coach. And Mike, I'm going to let you introduce Lee to everybody. And Lee is going to be waiting to hear from you. Mike, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Mike, unmute.
Okay. Good
Unmute,
morning,
yeah.
everybody. And thank you for that presentation, Greg. It's always really informative to listen to you. I listen to tons of inventors and doctors, and I put you high up on that list because you're very descriptive, and I appreciate that. But I've been working with PEMF for probably 10 years now, and I've been with Swiss Bionics for about as long as Terry has. We've been doing it for 5 years. I work heavily in the field. I work applied to clients with it. And the IMRS has been an extremely good company. I worked with the Omnium first, and then I've been working with the IMRS and the IMRS Prime. Both of those work really well. One of the things I've learned in PEMF is to discover the best way of transmitting those frequencies, and that's through proper hydration. So I started working with the Kangen unit a long time ago. So I got a lot of education about that type of water. Then about 6 years ago, I met Lorenzen, and he had a different type of water, which is structured water. His structured water is different because it reduces the molecules, and then the molecules are structured in a way that they have a divine state. And when it has this divine state, it helps to harmonize the whole system. And the way Lee has developed this water, it can actually hold that charge for 2 years plus, which is different than using an ionizer machine, which usually you need to drink it right out of the machine and it's at its top, and then it starts to depreciate after that. But Lee has also added more trace minerals and different things into the water that are structuring the water. And when you use PEMF, the main thing is you're putting electricity in, and our bodies are batteries. So if you don't have battery acid in a battery, if you ever worked with cars, the battery won't hold a charge and it goes down. That's the same thing with our bodies when we're using electricity. I use microcurrent frequencies. I use PEMF frequencies. I use far infrared frequencies. All those require proper hydration, and I wanted to get the very best I could. And meeting Lee, I believe I did find that. And this is my introduction to Lee. So I'll let Lee come in and explain to you how he's created this amazing water, which has become an amazing tool for me working with all types of conditions with PEMF, everything from cancer to the common cold. And used right with hydration, it's extremely effective. So I want to introduce Dr. Lorenzen, if you could come on, or Terry, if you could do that.
Lee, can you hear us? Your mic is open. Also, don't forget to tell us the Q nasal spray. Right. And I've been using it to protect viruses. That's very important, especially in this pandemic time. Go ahead, Lee. We can hear you now.
Well, first of all, Mike, thank you for the introduction. And Greg, also thank you for your presentation. I'm becoming much more interested in pulse magnetic fields. And as a matter of fact, the magnetic fields really played a part in discovering the water structure many years ago. And my story actually goes back to the mid-1980s when my wife was diagnosed with a mitochondrial disease, which means that the mitochondria, the energy packets of the cell were malfunctioning. So she went from being a tennis player and a young mom with our two sons and very healthy to not being able to lift her arms off the bed. And she was in that condition for several years while we exhausted every conceivable therapy known. And when nothing like that worked, I thought of taking her to Lourdes, the healing springs in southern France. And the Catholic Church had documented over 1,000 medical miracles at those springs. And there's a very fastidious process, procedure they use to recognize a miracle. And thought, well, the data is certainly good and there's nothing else that we know will work. But unfortunately, my wife was too ill to travel. And we started doing remote communication with not only scientists in France, but all over the world where there are other of these springs. But one thing that they noted, no matter where the spring was located, that if you drank from the source, it worked. But if you left with that water within minutes, it didn't work. So there was a half-life of minutes. And we had to identify that obviously it couldn't be a bacteria. It would have to be something structural that's changing that rapidly. So we were able to get scientists to send flash frozen samples from the source to us where we did X-ray analysis and found a common signature in the crystalline structure. And many of you may not remember, but there was a gentleman by the name of Musser who showed that crystalline structures of ice could be manipulated through various sounds and even emotions. And Emoto and I actually worked together for many years in Japan, and that also helped define and expand our research. But once we found out what was going on in these springs, we duplicated what was going on energetically. We amplified those energies and compressed the time and temperature domains, and then created a water that was actually structurally solid, that would actually have integrity for years. And gave that to, first of all, our golden retriever, and she responded well. I drank it. I felt some very good benefits, so I finally gave it to my wife. And within a matter of a few months, she was well on her way to being normal again. Now, and I know my wife believes in my research, so I even gave her placebo water a couple of different times just to see if she would feel the difference. And indeed, within a few days, you could see the degradation of her overall health. So we have an agreement that I will never challenge her again and always give her the active solution. So my wife was the first one to actually consume these products. And because this was a novel concept, I was awarded 3 United States patents, and we've now turned this into our ministry and business, where we have what are called hydro shops set up in Africa where we're giving the water away to sick children and seeing some remarkable results there. And now are distributing it primarily in Asia, where it appears the Asian communities understand the whole concept of energized water much more distinctly. But we continue to publish papers, and we've just recently published a paper in a leading veterinary journal where we were giving racehorses our water and watching how they performed and recovered. And the results were highly significant. So now even mainstream science is saying, yes, this process of exposing water to strong magnetic fields and light frequencies does have a very profound biological effect. So our research now has gone way beyond just simple hydration to now drug delivery and other types of applications. You're muted.
Apologize, I'm muted.
Sure.
Can you share with us the Q nasal spray that you
Yeah,
have, and I've been using it too. It's very effective.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, and actually in 2019, I was with my good friend and associate, Dr. Glenn Ryan, who is from Stanford University. And we'd set up our lab together here in Southern California and wanted to report to this International Congress on Water Technology our findings on how we can use the water as a delivery system to amplify the effects of certain natural compounds so that you can use a lower dose. And obviously the ultimate objective on that is if you have to take a medication, let's say a chemotherapeutic agent, and we can actually substantially reduce the dose by enveloping it in a resonant structural water and still achieve better results, that everybody wins because the patients respond better, they have lower toxic effects. We've already proven this with a drug called cisplatin, which is commonly used in ovarian cancer. And we've seen some rather remarkable effects with that drug in 4th-stage ovarian cancer patients in Mexico City. So we were reporting our findings of this to this Congress in Germany, sponsored by Dr. Gerald Pollack. And Gerald Pollack is a world-renowned physicist who has actually started an international congress on the physics, chemistry, and biology of water. Because everyone thinks, well, water is just something that's inert, that you just drink 8 glasses a day and you're fine. And we now know that water is incredibly complex. There are now more than 13 different forms of ice that are known to science. We now know that we can program digital signals into water. And it's going to be, in my opinion, the wave of the future in terms of overall therapeutics. Because as Greg mentioned, if you have a perfectly tuned system that's well hydrated, you're going to respond to pulse magnetic fields. And we've shown that in actually severe patients in Seoul, Korea, that were being needled in acupuncture clinics and they weren't responsive. And we found that they were dehydrated. So if they rehydrated with our solution for 21 days, then went back and went through that same needling technique, the acupuncture therapy worked very effectively. Because our entire system, as Greg mentioned, is water 70%. But Dr. Pollack has actually shown that one average human cell has 2 billion water molecules. And if you do the math, then 99.9% of all molecules in the body are water. So we're literally fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's the manipulation and management of those fluids that really helps express how all these other therapies can really improve overall health. So in the case of my wife, she's doing great. We've just celebrated our 45th wedding anniversary. And, I'm very grateful that we're both in our 70s. We're very, very happy that she's survived this really deleterious disease. And now, as a result of her illness, we're really helping improve the quality of life of millions of people all over. So the water itself is a unique mechanism, but it's been known for years. No one really understood the mechanism. Now that we understand why, we're able to utilize the help in the addition and the improvement of overall other products such as medications, which brings me to what was mentioned in terms of by Terry of this spray called K spray, QUE. In 2019, we were presenting a paper on drug delivery, and a very famous scientist happened to be the keynote speaker at that series, and his name is Dr. Luc Montagnier. And Professor Montagnier won the Nobel Prize for discovering the AIDS virus. And I was standing in line just to shake his hand, because obviously it's a great honor to meet a world-class, scientist like this. And when I finally got up to meet him and shake his hand, I told his translator who I was, and then we'd worked, that Montagnier and I would both work with a very famous doctor at the University of Paris. And then I mentioned a few key words about water structure. And he said, no, I want to talk to him more. So that little 2-minute meeting turned into about a 12-hour meeting. And within 2 days, we decided to form a company together. So he's now my partner. And we were to actually look at using magnetic fields, strong magnetic fields with light to activate certain medications and lower the dose. And in December of 2019, Professor Montagnier called me from Korea, and he said, we have a real problem. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, there's a virus coming, and it's going to go global, and it's probably going to kill a lot of people, because I know that this virus is engineered. This is not a naturally occurring virus. This is an engineered virus. And little did we know that would be the foretelling of the whole COVID pandemic. And I said, well, what is it? How can we stop it? What is it? And he goes, it's a coronavirus, very much like the common cold virus. And there are many coronaviruses, but they all have a similar spike protein structure. And he said, and it's airborne. So I joined with Professor Montagnier's team, and we immediately dove in, did molecular modeling, and found a combination of natural ingredients that the FDA has all called GRAS, generally recognized as safe, and put it into a spray that in theory should disrupt not only the spike protein, but keep the virus from entering the body. So that after that, all that research, we did challenge tests at the top viral testing laboratory in Dallas, Texas, and found that this combination of natural ingredients, which includes quercetin, nanosilver, grapefruit seed extract, a curcumin. There are a number of all of these natural ingredients, and a child could drink this bottle and not be harmed. It's completely innocuous, but it killed 99.94% of the virus in the nose in less than 10 minutes. So this is not a vaccine. This is not something that will prevent the virus from expanding once it's in your body. But since 99% of infections are through here, through the nasal cavities, regular use can block that ability of that virus to enter the body. So I'm sure you've heard of a drug called remdesivir, which is being pushed out there that actually helps block the viral entry through a type of receptor. Well, it's $2,000 for a course of this drug that now is shown to have rather serious kidney issues. And through our molecular modeling, we found a molecule in the skin of aloe vera that blocks the virus better, and it's completely non-toxic. So this is the kind of thing that we've been doing. Professor Montagnier and I filed a patent in August of 2020, and we're now going for international patent protection. That where we're seeing it now being useful is in medical clinics, first responders like firemen, police, nurses, doctors, anyone in a retail environment where they're exposed to the public. These are the people that are really on the front lines of exposure. And we've been using it regularly now for more than a year in our clinical testing. So we're very pleased to be involved with that now.
Thank you so much. So because we're running out of time, we're gonna have anybody want Lee's information and his website. I'm gonna give it out on the email. Okay. So we have two ladies here waiting. They are on the go. Okay. First, we're gonna go to Pamela. Pamela Martin, can you hear me?
I can,
Okay,
Terry.
first, let me brag about you first, okay? Two ladies, I need to brag about it on our team, my team, okay? So you're traveling here and there. You know, Greg, we're talking about production. She
Excellent.
has sold 15 prime hybrid sets in the last week of October. I don't know how she did it. Obviously, I understand these two ladies I work with, they have full of passion about our PEMF and also their commitment of helping other people. Pamela, go ahead and share with us briefly.
Angels produce miracles, Terry.
Yes. Pamela, don't be
Good
shy.
morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm in a hotel in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And by the grace of God, I just have to say thank you to Swiss Bionics, to Terry and Greg and Wolfgang. Just a little brief. I came in about 4 years ago with the
We lost you. Pamela. Unmute yourself. Pamela, unmute.
Okay, I'm back with you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm on a top floor in Trump Tower and the phone keeps going out. So bottom line is this, you guys, stick with it. And if you buy one of these, please tell your people, use it daily. And the most important thing for me is I found is just keep it simple. And that is basically water before you do any session and water after. And don't put anything in the water unless it's a special structured water, but don't add any, drops, vitamins, nothing, just pure water, because that's how God made us and God intended us to be. And then the second thing is breathing, which we do every day. So I always have my clients belly, and I teach them a belly breath, which is called.
We lost you again. Unmute yourself. Unmute Pamela. Pamela, you're muted. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. I am so sorry. So I can teach anyone who wants it's called the Ha belly breath, and it's a 7 count where you breathe in 7, you hold 7, and then you breathe out 7. It's an old Ho'oponopono tradition from Hawaii that clears the entire body on the physical, emotional, and mental levels. So that works phenomenally. And then the last thing is less is more. So especially with new clients, I start most people, if they have any issues, on sensitive, and then we gradually work up to 10 and 25. People that are healthy, active, I can start them on 25 intensity. And I just want to share one little thing. At this last event in Las Vegas, I had the organizer come up to me and he said, Pamela, we're going to put your PEMF hybrid unit to test. He says, I'm in excruciating pain and I believe I'm passing a kidney stone. What can you do for me? So I laid him down on the mat. I said, please, could you lay down for 8 minutes? He said, all right, but I'm dying. I said, you're not dying. We're just going to go through a slow process and remove this kidney stone. So he laid down. I looked up on the eye guide for kidney stone. It was there, and I pressed it. And I laid him there for the 8 minutes. I had him drink the water before and after. When he got up, he said, well, my pain's a little better, but it's not gone. I said, that's okay. Just take it easy, drink some water and see what happens. So he reported that night that he had gone back to his room. He drank water. Someone prayed on him. He came to his room and he actually threw up. And within a short time, he said, like in 10, 15 minutes, he passed the kidney stone. So it moved the energy, and he was able to then say, okay, your unit's real. So I'm just in the pudding, and it's with using it. And I have so many different testimonials for, like Mike Garrett was saying, for so many things. So the best advice I have to anyone new is stick with it, use it, and enjoy it, and share it with the people, because this is a really help yourself first and then help others. And I just want to thank everyone and welcome everybody, because I have quite a few new coming to the call. I have so many beautiful new reps around the United States, and I just want to thank them for being present and being with us all. And God bless America and all of us. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Terry. And thank you, everyone who's present.
Pamela, you know, people talk about they don't have time. You have been so busy. You're taking care of your husband. You're taking care of your mother, all that. And you are unbelievable. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you, Pamela.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And
thank you for sharing.
All right. God bless.
Okay. God bless you.
And we're going to get through this battle. I know we are. And just remember, God wins.
Yes. Yes. Okay. The next person, Janet. Janet, you there? Janet Ayers? Can you unmute yourself?
I am. I'm here.
Okay. Excellent, Janet. Janet you're traveling from St. Louis now to Louisiana. I cannot keep track of you. Anyway,
No,
Janet,
I'm in Louisiana, going back to St. Louis
Louisiana.
now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. Janet's been traveling, going here and there, serving her clients. Unbelievable. Janet is someone I started working with most recently. Okay. So you only have Omni-in-One, but you have been selling the IMOS Prime set units, and you have sold 5 last month. Unbelievable. And you saved up your money now. You now just purchased your own IMOS Prime. I am so proud of your passion, your work ethic, and your commitment. Share with us briefly how you do it. Janet.
Okay, sorry about the thumping, but somebody's playing some really loud music. So if you're hearing that, excuse me.
Tell us your story. quickly.
I've had my Omnium one for 3 years, and it has changed my life. And I just like to share this technology with other people and show them that there's hope for healing naturally. I've taken it as far as now 10 hours away to share with people, and I've seen amazing results. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which means all my joints come out of socket constantly. I've had 7 hernias repaired, and I just have really weak tissues. I also have complex regional pain syndrome and symptoms of superior canal dehiscence syndrome, which means my eyes and brain shake in response to noise or stress. That music would have had me screaming like an autistic person on sensory overload without PEMF. So I feel like I'm unstoppable at this point. I now spend my time bowling and go-kart racing and indoor skydiving and just having fun. And I spread the message everywhere I go. People at church have caught on, and I'm changing lives. I get to feel like I'm a superhero. So I collect testimonies and I share them with other people. I have a YouTube page, Pill Free Hope. And I feel like God has given me a new life. I'm 52 and I feel 25. So
You are with your energy. Anyway, my heart goes out to you ladies. And of course, we thank you so much for Dr. Lorenzen to come on. And I'm going to send out your information, okay? And also great Musser, of course. Do we have time for a couple of questions for these speakers here?
If you guys don't mind running a few minutes late,
Right.
that is
And
fine.
go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your questions.
And then please mute yourself afterwards. Thank you.
Okay. Do they know how to unmute themselves?
Well,
I have
I
a
can-
question in the chat box. There's a question in the chat box
Oh,
from
Yes.
Linda was speaking, yeah.
Go ahead, Linda.
Since I don't understand the water, I'm so new at this. I'm definitely new. I'm wanting to know about Penta water. It's a special water that I've come across several years ago here in California, and temporarily. Does anybody have any information regarding that? It's not your typical water.
Yeah, the Penta water is a good purified water, but there's no structure to it. So, but as far as it being a very pure water, that's true. So there are different types of water. There's alkaline ionized water, which is exposed to direct current to break water, hydrogen, oxygen apart, and that's been popular for several years. But that's kind of on the way now too. Now it appears that the best things now are really good energized spring waters and spring waters from volcanic sources. For example, in Oregon and Washington, and then also waters that have been exposed to magnetic fields, strong magnetic fields, and we've been able to actually publish and prove that the hydration is better. In a study, for example, with 25 athletes in Colorado, we used a device called a corneometer, and it's a machine that actually measures the hydration of the skin. And if people drink normal water, after 3 weeks, their skin hydration improved 4%. But if they drank the Vivo water, their skin hydration went up 22%. So it's a much more powerful way of ensuring better hydration. So that's and so we actually have the clinical studies to document the differences, and we compare a lot of waters that are out there. So, but Penta is a good purified water. There's no question about that.
Well, I was just showing them the water. I'm drinking the Vivo water. My voice getting better, Lee.
Good, very good.
Yes. Okay.
We have another question by Judy Rushing. She said that I have someone messaged me that they need back surgery. Do you have recommendations? I assume this is for you, Greg.
Well, I mean, I don't have any recommendations, as in regards to surgery, but if you, PMF is basically a spine stimulator, and they utilize spine stimulators post-op, and they utilize it to help fuse the bone back together, also reduce the sensation of pain, and continually to drive the blood, the healing molecules and what is needed through the bloodstream to that point of area. There's also research that people use PMF before surgery because it helps mitigate blood clots. A lot of times that they will provide exercises that you're supposed to do before you go to any type of surgery. And they find out that, most people don't complete them as they should. But if you are concerned, a lot of people also do it because they're preparing the body for the surgery and afterwards to optimally heal. So as regards to after the surgery, it would work very similar to, a spine stimulator, which they've been using since the 70s to help with back pain, help fuse the discs back together, and help not have any type of, mitigations from the surgery.
That's
Very good.
great. Thank you. I have one question here from Heidi. She says, I hear from Dr. Artis, providone iodine works similar to the water, I'm assuming, Lee?
Lee, are you there?
Yeah, well, providone iodine is a great antiseptic, and but it's not really. And it's good to use prophylactically for infection as a good iodine source for thyroid function, but it's not going to really contribute to overall hydration. So you need to literally be utilizing a strong, at least 2 liters a day of a good, strong, biologically active water, because the issue, at least with me, as someone who is in the 70s, is that someone my age doesn't turn the water over very well. The water structure is completely different in my cells than it is in an infant. And the whole objective of what we're doing is to stimulate cell water turnover. And Terry, you might share, I know that one indicator of cell water turnover is when you drink our water within 30 minutes, you're actually having to urinate, because it's actually pumping water in, pumping water out, filling the bladder, and it works very rapidly that way. So that's one of the markers of a water that works quickly is if you drink it and in 30 minutes you're needing to use the restroom.
Exactly.
We've had Judy's asking, taking cell salts daily helpful with water absorption?
Yeah, well, as Greg mentioned, it's the electrolyte imbalance is really critical. Matter of fact, there's Dr. Pollack at University of Washington identified what's called an exclusion zone of electrical charges around cells. And when we're very young and healthy, that charge zone is very intact. But as we get older, it disintegrates, and this challenges the ability of water to be pumped back and forth. So anything that's going to stimulate a better exclusion zone formation, natural electrolytes, I use like the Redmond salt. It's a natural ancient seabed out of Utah that's mined as my sodium, but it has 72 trace minerals. So and juicing, chlorophyll, all these things are really important sources of good trace minerals that are part of an overall good hydration picture.
Okay, very good. So we're good information. Lee, you're gonna send me your website and things like that. I can pass
Yeah.
it out to people, okay? All right,
Sure.
so I think we're good today. It's gone over time, 15 minutes. I know a lot of people, you have your schedule on Saturday. Thank you so much for everybody on the Zoom this morning. The next one, Greg, is gonna be the 20th on the Saturday, right? We're gonna have
That's right. And
different speakers.
I'll be waiting for the topic, Terry.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
And then
Have a wonderful
we'll talk
Saturday.
again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Lee.
Greg.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Greg.
Terry.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Pamela
Terry.
and Janet and everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
And Mike.
Bless everyone.